Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sandra Gammons, and I would just like to thank blackdoctors.org for having this, what I believe is a very important information session on the importance of the human animal bond. Let me start by just telling you a little bit about myself. I am a licensed graduate social worker. I'm an alumni of the Howard MSW program, and I am a certified veterinary social work through the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. On the lower left, you will see my little love bug, Outcast, with my husband, Charles. And in the upper right-hand corner, you will see my big girl. Her name is Salah. And my immediate family consists of my father, my two adult sons, my husband. I am the director of admissions at Howard University School of Social Work, and I am just very thankful to be able to talk to you about this subject. So people often ask, well, how do social workers work with animals? And let me just tell you what a veterinary social worker does. My social work practice evolves around people who love and work with animals. So if you love animals, if you work with animals, if you do more than tolerate animals and you and your animal are in crisis, then I would be the person that you talk to. Or if you're a veterinarian and you have clients who just lost an animal, then we would have group sessions for grief and loss. There are 4 areas to veterinary social work. There is the animal assisted interventions. There is the link between the human and animal violence. There is animal related grief and bereavement. And then there is compassion fatigue and conflict management. So when you think about a veterinary social worker, those are the 4 areas that we specialize in. Now, as a uh, licensed social worker, as a director of admissions at Howard University, um, research is my niche. So I like to research and find evidence and data around African Americans and animals, in addition to petting puppies and horseback riding. So let's talk a little bit about the human animal bond. Back in 1835, there was an act to amend and to protect domestic animals such as dogs and cats against cruelty. In 1835, dogs and cats had the legal right not to be treated cruelly. It wasn't until 100 years later that there was a law on the books that said children cannot be treated cruelly. What you all probably know is the Humane Society, which is a nonprofit animal welfare and animal rights advocacy group that was founded in 1954. And so take a moment and think about the animals that you identify with. Did you have animals growing up? Were they allowed in the house? Or did they stay chained to a tree with a doghouse outside? Did you have animals that provided a way of life, such as raising pigs or chickens? Just reminisce for a moment about the animals in your life. I do want to let you know that there was a study done in 2005, and what it found was that animals are really an extension of oneself. So, city dogs and working dogs, hunting dogs, and our favorite these this past decade is our pocketbook dogs. The little teeny weeny dogs that fit in people's purses. We have three objectives today. I'm going to define the human animal bond. I'm going to talk about the importance of that bond in the Black community and ways in which you can support your patients who have bonded with animals. So let's talk a minute and just talk about pets. Before COVID, 57% of Americans owned pets. And as you could see in this chart, that equated to about 84 million households that had pets. And then they consisted of dogs and cats and freshwater fish, birds, reptiles, horses, and others. But when COVID hit in 2020, there was an increase in the number of households owning pets, and that was at 67%. So during COVID, 67% of Americans owned pets. So I know that as medical doctors, you were overworked and overwhelmed because of the pandemic. And so what many people did, at least 10% did, is went out and bought a pet. So I'm presuming that you all as doctors were too busy to bring a new pet into the household. But what about your family? What about your immediate family, your extended family? Can you relate to anyone who bought a pet during COVID? So what you can see with this chart is that for the most part, most folks own cats and dogs. But I do want to bring your attention to a nationwide look at where those animals are. And so in our red and blue states, we see cats and dogs. And the pink states is where we see our horses. So what I hope you glean from this is wherever you're practicing, there is a dominant pet in your area. So let's talk about the types of animals that usually come along with your patient. There is an emerging field of animal-assisted interventions, and you can see animals at hospitals and elder care settings. You can see them in prisons and in farms and in community programs. But they're also pets that just hang around the house and bring joy. We have service animals who are trained to do a specific task for a specific person. We have companion animals, those who just stay with us to make us feel better. And for a companion animal, a individual would have to be working with a mental health provider that would actually require a letter from that mental health provider stating that their pet was a companion animal. I'm sure some of you have driven behind cars that had a bumper sticker on the back. It was a white bone, and it says, I love my grand dogs. And that's because many of the younger generations are opting to have dogs as opposed to children. And so that bumper sticker is a way for an older parent to identify and stay connected to one of their children that don't have. The parent can stay connected to their adult child even when the adult child doesn't provide them with grandchildren. Then there is the family foster dogs, and this is my favorite. This is when your son or daughter or niece and nephew picked up a gerbil, a guinea pig, picked up a cat or a dog, um, had them for a while, and is moving to a new job or moving out of the area, and they lovingly turn that animal over to that family member. So that pet is like in fast foster care. And then there are the strays, those cats that hang around the house, those dogs on the street. And your patient may have a relationship with them, even if it is just walking by to acknowledge that the stray is there and the stray is still safe. So when you think about your patients and their home life, animals may be a part of that. So let's talk a little bit about the definition of the human-animal bond. It is a mutually beneficial and dynamic relationship between people and animals that is influenced by behavior essential. It is essential to the health and well-being of both. So it's a mutual beneficial relationship to both the animal and the person that allows for health and well-being of both. So for the animal, it is more than just existing. I live, I go outside, I do my business outside, I come back in, I sit, I eat, I sleep, and the cycle starts all over again. It is a interaction between two sentient beings that bring joy to themselves. So when we talk about health and well-being, we are talking about emotional health, psychological health, physical interaction between the person and the animal. And so research already shows that by owning a pet, you can lower blood pressure, reduce stress, raise oxytocin levels, and in some cases may reduce pain. There was a study conducted by Bayer, and they found that people living with dogs are 15% less likely to die from heart disease. And the human animal bond is important because I've already stated it improves our mental health. Pets can improve symptoms of depression and anxiety, especially PTSD. They can decrease feelings of loneliness, and pets can also improve our physical health. The animal bond has been evolving for over 15,000 years. And the relationship between humans and animals started with hunting and farming and performing tasks necessary for day-to-day life. So you had horses for travel, you had mules for farming, You had working dogs, those who would track and herd. You had cats. We call them barn cats now, but cats that live in colonies that live outside, usually in rural areas that hunt and kill rodents in order or as a benefit to humans not to spread disease or damage crops and foods. And animals even served during wartime. Now, what we've seen during our news cycle these past 4 years is that you've seen the dogs looking for bombs. You've seen the cadaver dogs at natural disasters finding bodies. You found horses maintaining maintaining civil rest. And so even the army, back in the day, they had horses and carrier pigeons. And so animals have been an important part of our lives all along. And we talked about pets being an extension of oneself, but also pets bring a certain pride to their pet owner. So the human animal bond and Black medical doctors. I read an op-ed that stated medical doctors in general believe that veterinarians and animals don't really have a place in the medical profession. And what they said was that when studies about the human animal bond that most academics are doing, if they bring up the research at a conference or a meeting, that colleagues seem to treat their research interests with tolerant amusement. And so if you're watching this presentation, I hope that I have a little more than tolerant amusement, because the overwhelming statistics show that 84%, 84 million people have pets. And if you're seeing 84 million people, if you're seeing some of those in your practice, then more than likely they have pets. And it's important to you because animals are an important part of a daily routine. And animals provide comfort, and animals provide the reason sometimes to stay healthy. And for most pet owners, their pet is a part of the family. And so I am hoping that you all have already heard about the term One Health. And so One Health was created to emphasize the fact that health of humans and animals were interlinked, and that the control of zoonotic diseases is best achieved when breaking down the barriers between human and veterinary medicine, developing a holistic approach. And so One Health is a worldwide initiative focused on increasing interdisciplinary collaboration between the fields of human medicine, veterinary medicine, and environmental health. So what I ask of you is that when you see the term One Health, or if there's an opportunity to sit on a board, if there's an opportunity to be on a task force, if there's an opportunity to be on a think tank, if there's an animal lover in your family, think about participating in those opportunities to develop One Health. I am going to talk about two specific development stages as it relates to animal and human bonds. And I'm going to start with child development. Approximately 75% of families with children between the ages of 5 and 17 report having at least one pet in their home. And so, for the child development area, they build self esteem, self confidence, responsibility. They learn true friendship and what unconditional love looks like. And also, it provides an opportunity to experience the circle of life. We all already know that our pets do not live as long as us. And so, at some point in time, as a pet owner, you have to do the most loving thing that you'll ever do for your pet, and that is to have them pass gently. And so, it's important for our children to develop in those areas, including how to deal with disappointment, grief, and loss. I love this picture because the dog has the same skin condition as the little boy. And so the little boy has the opportunity to see someone that looks like him or see something living that looks like him that can provide a sense of stability that can, in the child's mind, understand what he goes through. And it's just a loving visual of how animals can help. The next area that I want to talk about, I call them active agers. They are our 65 plus people who have lived a long life, who are entering their golden years. And with pets, they get a sense of companionship, a safe place to, with their pet, they have a safe place to grieve. As people get older, they lose those closest to them. So there's a level of companionship. Also, dogs have to be walked. Cat litter boxes have to be changed. And so there's some exercise involved. There's some movement of the body to keep all the joints loose that seniors get to experience. Then there's a routine, especially if they're retired, haven't embarked on a second career, but there's a daily routine that occurs. And then, as seniors usually have adult children, they have a pet to nurture, to take care of, to love, which too offers a stress relief point for them. I do want to say that if you are working with the active agers, you need to be aware that if they have a dog, they need to be careful not to get tangled up in the leash. We want to prevent falls at this age. And so make sure that they remember not to let the animals get up under their feet. And so, how you can support your patient. It's a simple acronym. I say ASK. You can ask if they have a pet. And if they say yes, give them a moment to talk about them. They will be so surprised that you're even interested in the fact that they have a pet. And if you really want to win them over, ask to see a picture. That would just make their day. The S in ask is to solicit their daily routine and how they are including their animals and their pets in maintaining a healthy lifestyle. And then the K in ask is to keep tabs at every appointment. You want to make sure that they have access to a support system, and you make sure that you include that animal as a part of the emotional support system. So if you are supporting a patient, all you have to do is ask. Ask if they have a pet. Ask if they can show you a picture. You can solidify their daily routine so you can see how you can help them include their animals in whatever healthy lifestyle they need to improve upon. And then K, keep tabs. Keep tabs. I hope I have given you some insight into the human animal bond. I hope that you've gleaned something. I hope that you'll include ask when you are talking with your patients. I hope that I've given you some insights into the thinking and caring for the pets in your patients' lives. At this time, I can take questions and comments, or if you have to go, feel free to email me questions. My information can be found. And please like and share this broadcast. If you are not an animal lover, but you know someone who is, like and share. Thank you so much.